Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, speaking of bright, shining stars, we are going to have a wonderful new moon on Monday at 21 degrees of Pisces. So if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would know that the title of tonight's show is Enlightenment. And that is because there will be so much light in the sign of Pisces that you couldn't hide anything if you tried. And the reason why is there will be 6 planets in Pisces, and they will be trine a 7th planet in a water sign, Saturn in Scorpio. So we have Neptune and Mercury and the Sun and Moon and Venus and Mars all in Pisces by Monday. It is a prophetic new moon, and that's why it can be very enlightening. And that is because Pisces actually rules the 12th house in a traditional chart that stands for mystery and for things that are hidden. And so, since Pisces is a double-bodied mutable sign, they're rather easygoing people, but it's a water sign, so it does rule our feelings, but it can be the kind of feelings that we hide from others. In other words, Pisces can rule our doubts and our fears, or it can rule self-undoing, such as through alcoholism or drug addiction, or through sexual promiscuity, or it can rule anything that you are in complete denial about and that you don't want to face at all. That's why it rules doubts and fears. It also rules creativity, because Pisces rules the feet, so Pisces rules dance. And it does rule charity and forgiveness, because the overall word that describes the sign of Pisces is synthesis. And that means that a Pisces isn't too worried about the nitty-gritty details of anything. What they can see is beyond the facts. They can see something better, usually. And so Pisces does rule dreams. And since it rules dance, it rules that kind of creativity that can make you feel as if you could float away and escape your troubles. So it does rule escape. And it also rules photography. And so this is a time now, in fact, it's a turning point time in all of our lives, when actually you are going to be able to get a very clear picture of whatever it is that either you or someone else has been hiding, and it will be impossible to hide anything from now on. So you'll be able to see who your hidden enemies are, or you'll be able to see exactly where you're harming yourself or where you're kidding yourself in one way or another. These 6 planets in Pisces have tremendous backup, and that's important. Not only is the ruler of the sign in Pisces, which is Neptune, but Saturn, that planet of stability and sobriety and heavy responsibility, is in Scorpio, a fixed financial water sign, and it is trining all the planets in Pisces, which means that you don't need to be so afraid of something, because somewhere in all of our lives there is some sort of backup or financial support or somebody around that can back us up and help us in one way or another. And because Saturn is retrograde and Mercury in Pisces is retrograde, and since Mercury rules thought, this can be a time when all of us can have second thoughts, particularly about our financial situation. And now is maybe when you can clear up a tax problem or a credit problem, or maybe you can get some additional funding that can help you with a loan, or there can be some money that has been delayed that if you worked on it a little bit, maybe it could come your way right now. So it's very good that we have emotional and some financial support right now as we come into a period of enlightenment where nothing can be hidden anymore. There is something really wonderful as well about this new moon, and it is that the Sun, Moon, and Venus, the planet of love and compromise, are all in Pisces, conjuncting each other. The Sun and the Moon are at 21 degrees and Venus is at 17 degrees. So yes, there are other planets in that sign, but these three planets together on Monday are an indication that we can be experiencing perhaps a soft landing somewhere in our lives. So if you have been contemplating some sort of catastrophe, maybe it won't turn out quite as badly as you think. Or it can simply be that people are ready to relent and sort of get over things and get on with their lives, and that could help you as well. Because by the end of March, by the end of this month, there can be extreme danger, and it is starting to form right now. So you do have to watch out for it. And that is being generated by the fact that Mars is in Pisces as well under this new moon, and it is at 29 degrees of Pisces right now. So it's going to be leaving and going into Aries, and Aries is the sign that Mars rules, one of them anyway. And so it has already begun a conjunction with Uranus, the planet of sudden change, which is in Aries at 7 degrees. So these two planets are already within the period where they can be conjuncting and getting, since Mars is the quick moving planet, they can be getting closer and closer and closer until it will finally exactly conjunct Uranus. And that will occur by the end of the month, and that is simply a period of time when there can be extreme danger, because Mars and Uranus are two of the malefic planets. Mars rules war and greed and hate and jealousy, and it's coming up against a planet that rules rebellion and very, very sudden change. You can be anticipating at least one huge cyber attack sometime in the month of March and going into April. And there is also the possibility that a partnership can be destroyed by the end of March, and that is because there will be a full moon in Libra at the end of the month, and it will be opposing both Mars and Uranus in Aries. So the destruction of a partnership could occur very, very swiftly. It would be completely just cut off, in fact, severed. And so if you have a partnership that's a little bit on the rocks, I advise you to sort of try to smooth things out right now before they get any worse. All right, in this period of enlightenment, what does it mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, remember I said Mars is getting closer and closer to Uranus, that planet of sudden change, but also of rebellion that is in your sun sign. And since these two malefic planets are going to conjunct each other in a fire sign like yours, Aries, there is the possibility that upon further examination of things that you had preferred to keep hidden, a lot of people can see what's happening in the background of your life, because that's where the Pisces new moon is hitting. And if you've been trying to hide something, it will be exposed, and you may have to make a sudden change because of that, Aries. And so I think that, this can have the effect of you feeling as if you've got to get out of town fast. And that can occur simply because it's impossible to hide anything anymore. And so I think that this is a time when you may be very desirous of starting something over or starting something new, and you may have a lot of motivation to do that right now, Aries. So I think you should anticipate change, as enlightenment simply means that the whole truth will be revealed, and perhaps not all is going to be forgiven. And so that is why you do need to anticipate change, Aries, not because something is actually your fault, but simply because if you've been hiding anything, that is going to be exposed, and then you'll have to deal with it. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is simply a time, since Pisces sextiles your sun sign, when all 6 of those planets in Pisces can be giving you some sort of chance to profit from enlightenment. In other words, since Pisces rules hidden enemies or anything hidden behind the scenes, it simply means you might learn a secret, or you might get a tip on something a little bit ahead of everybody else, Taurus, and that would be great, because then you would be able to perhaps swiftly go in a new direction or make an adjustment that could be quite nice for you, and that the idea of an adjustment is because Jupiter is in Gemini right ahead of your sun sign, so it would be easy for you to step into something, even if it was temporary, and sort of bend a little bit right now if you wanted to, Taurus, because of information that you learned behind the scenes. It's something like a tip-off that could really be helping you out right now, so that would be good. The reason it would be doubly good is because Saturn is in Scorpio opposing your sun, and that simply means since it is so well fortified by this Pisces new moon that it would be strengthened at this time, and the opposition to your sun would also be strengthened, and that means there can be higher costs, or you may want to renegotiate a loan, or it can be that the taxes are going to start to rise and you would need to deal with that as well, Taurus. So enlightenment can help you out a little bit. So I hope you're listening, and I hope you're willing to change a little bit, because I think you'll profit from that. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, enlightenment will come to everyone, but it might come to you last. And the reason why is that all 6 planets in Pisces are squaring your sun. That means Neptune, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, and Moon, and Mars are all squaring your sun, and that is a little bit too much to have to deal with, Gemini. So it's lucky you have Jupiter in your sun sign, because you'll be optimistic. You also could not be in the know. In other words, there could be an awful lot going on behind the scenes that you would not be included in right now, Gemini. So you may be the last to find out what is going on behind the scenes. And in a way, that's too bad. But with Jupiter in your sun sign, even if you're left out of some things right now, Gemini, it may not hurt you permanently, because you can be rather optimistic about change. And change is the name of the game for you from here on out, clear until Jupiter leaves your sign on June 26th. So I hope that you're willing to move on, or I hope you're willing to adapt to something. And I think it would be safest, Gemini, if you could downsize a little bit or simplify your life. That way, if there was any threat to your lifestyle or to the way you make your living, there would be less to lose by downsizing or simplifying. And that's why I hope you work on that a little bit. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is simply a time when I think that you are going to be quietly overjoyed by this new moon in Pisces. After all, 6 planets in Pisces are trining your sun, and Saturn in Scorpio is also trining your sun, meaning you've got emotional and financial backup somewhere, and it's solid, it's going to be sticking around. And also you have many friends behind the scenes who are going to be letting you know things that have to do with perhaps secrets, or it can be that you can be going to friends that no one knows you have, and they can be sort of giving you the straight truth about something, and that would be a truth that had been hidden for a long time. So you could really find out quite a bit right now, and you could simply be very happy as you discover the truth. Cancer, this would be in preparation for some sort of upcoming change that you could be going through. And it isn't a change that means expansion, it's a change that will help you settle down a little bit this year, because Jupiter will come into your sun sign in the summer, and it will stay until the following summer. So if you're getting ready to sort of get comfy in your life, that would be exactly the right thing to do, Cancer. And this new moon represents a blessing. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is simply a time when I think that you can certainly benefit once somebody does decide to make a quick move. I don't think they're quite doing it yet, but Uranus is being conjuncted by Mars. Mars is still in Pisces, but this next week it'll move into Aries. And so both Uranus and Mars, the ruler of Aries, will be trining your sun, Leo. And that simply means that someone may have an urgent desire to make a quick move in a different direction, or to start up something real fast, and they may ask you for help. The only question would be, how hard do you want to work? And are you sure the money's there, Leo? you'd better not count it until it's in your hand, because Saturn, which is extremely fortified by this new moon, is squaring your sun. And for all 4 of the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, you've really got to check your budgets closely and re-examine any financial details and make sure you've got some sort of a cushion in order to cover you for unexpected higher costs. So if somebody comes along and says, let's go do something, the first question you should ask, Leo, is who's going to pay for it? And if you can't get a clear answer, then you need to ask yourself just how hard you want to work without seeing any money for it. And I hope that you don't want to do that, Leo, because a good opportunity could come up, but perhaps the motivation for it is not quite the same as your motivation for doing it. And so I would check the reasoning behind any new startup right now. Make sure that everyone's on the same page. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when I'm positive that you will be the last person to know what's really going on right now. And the reason why is that those 6 planets in Pisces are overwhelming your sign. There's nothing in your sign right now, Virgo, and so you have 6 planets opposing your sun sign. And that simply means, since Pisces rules things that are hidden and behind the scenes, and there's a great deal of communication and activity going on behind the scenes, but it opposes your sun sign, it simply means that your sun sign is pretty far away from the action right now. And besides, it's hidden action or hidden communication, so you will be the last person to find out what is really going on right now, Virgo. This may not bother you, though, because after all, you're not a person that deals in gossip or in rumor. You like to stick to facts. And actually, Pluto in Capricorn is trining your sun, meaning management is basing their decisions not only on facts and figures right now, but also on what they're picking up, what information they're picking up from different sources, and they'll be able to make a good decision. When they do, you don't have anything to worry about, Virgo. You'll be included in whatever policies or plans they have coming up. So your long-term security is not being threatened. And Saturn in Scorpio, which is extremely strong right now, is sextiling your sun, meaning that there can be financial stability around for you. So you may feel as if you're not being included in the office gossip right now, but don't worry, you will be sooner or later. And besides, you're not missing anything, Virgo. Keep up the good work dealing with facts right now and a good performance record. That's what's going to get you further ahead. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is simply a time when you need to start to be on your guard. This idea of enlightenment, meaning that the truth will be exposed one way or another or revealed, is fine. It will represent a turning point in all of our lives. We'll have to deal with that. But you have something additional to deal with, Libra, and it is that Mars is at the end of Pisces. It's coming into Aries, where it is now conjuncting Uranus, and it has already started to oppose your sun sign, which Uranus is already doing. And so I think there is the possibility that some new beginning could really run into a little bit of trouble, and you'll have to deal with that in the next month. Or if there is any strain in a partnership or a relationship, it may get worse before it gets better, or else it may end by the end of the month, Libra. However, you're not going to be left out of anything, Libra, because Jupiter in Gemini is trining your sun. So whatever adjustments you have to make, I think you'll be able to do that very quickly, and you'll be rather lucky. You could sort of pick up new friends if you lost a few old ones. So I think you're going to be just fine, as long as you're willing to change and adapt. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is an excellent new moon for you. And yes, it represents a turning point, but it's one that you are really ready for, Scorpio. And that's because Saturn is in your sun sign. And yes, it's retrograde, meaning that you're going over financial matters in your life and certainly over your budget. And I think you're wanting to make sure that you're on very solid financial ground and you are not wanting to take any risks whatsoever. So you'll have to sort of redo things. And I think if you need to pay off bills or simply make sure that your balance sheets are adding up right, that's what you should be doing. On the other hand, the Enlightenment will aid you in making a difficult decision that involves taking on additional responsibility. I think you are going to be taking on additional responsibilities, Scorpio, and I think there will be more money for that. That is a good idea. It might tire you out, but you're really ready for it now. The extra money would come by July, when Saturn in your sign goes direct. This period of enlightenment is going to do you a lot of good because things that other people have been hiding will now be exposed and you will be able to deal with the truth. And I think there are some things you haven't known, but don't worry, they're all going to come out in the open and the people responsible for them will have to deal with them, not you. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when you have to be very, very careful. And the reason why is that all 5 planets in Pisces, 6 planets in Pisces are squaring your sun. And that simply means that that's a little too much for anybody to handle by themselves. And the reason why is that there can be a lot of exposure to anything that you had been doing in the past, Sagittarius, and you could be tempted to go back to things that you had been doing in the past, thinking that they would still remain well hidden, but they will not. Nothing is going to be well hidden anymore. And so I urge you, Sagittarius, not to go back to anything that could possibly get you in any trouble because, oh boy, it could really sink you now. There are way too many planets in Pisces. You can't overcome the drastic effects of something that could go wrong right now if you think you can hide it, because I don't think you can. On the other hand, there is going to be a wonderful opportunity to start something new in the month of March, and I think if you just concentrate and anticipate that, you'll be fine. So go for something new and don't go back to the past at all. If you can help it, Sagittarius, it would be very dangerous for you to do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is simply a time when I think that you are going to be having a steady hand on the helm, and so would Scorpio. And that is because you have Pluto in your sign at 11 degrees, and Saturn is in Scorpio also at 11 degrees. It's retrograde and a little bit weaker, but that 11th degree denotes that people who are in positions of authority or who are thinking of the long run and the security that you need to survive for a very long time are wanting to gather facts, and that can certainly be possible. Maybe you've already done a lot of fact gathering. Maybe you're armed with as much information as you can possibly get now, Capricorn. But still, under this new moon in Pisces, which sextiles your sun, you may want to go behind the scenes and sort of find out what the real truth is from people who are usually very, very quiet. And I think that you do have friends that no one realizes you have, and they have the answers. And so I think that you will be consulting them as well. Once the enlightenment is complete, once you can see everything or the facts are completely revealed, you will be able to make a decision and take on additional responsibility just like Scorpio will. And I think you're really ready for that. So there may be a move in your future, Capricorn, as you really decide, what partnerships are important and what relationships are important and how much everything costs. And so I think you should anticipate having at least enough money for some sort of move this year, because that's entirely possible. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time with that new moon in Pisces and all 6 planets there right ahead of your sun sign, that you could see the truth rather fully right now, or you certainly will be able to do that by next week. So at the start of March, can see a revelation happening almost right before your eyes, Aquarius. What can you do about it? Well, at least you'll know exactly what's going on in the world, and you may see something that just sounds too good to be true and looks wonderful. But if it sounds or looks too good to be true, that means it's not. Aquarius, and I think you may have to make some adjustments as the truth is revealed. Or remember, enlightenment means the whole truth will come out, and perhaps not everything is going to be forgiven, and so some people could be in a little bit of trouble. So you may have to sidestep a few people, but you will be able to go in new directions rather quickly because Jupiter in Gemini is trining your sun. There still wouldn't be enough money, but there would be better financial supports around than you think. So you should review your financial records, Aquarius. Maybe there's a little more money around than you think right now, and that would be nice for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is the one you've been waiting for. This new moon for you, Pisces, is probably the most important one of your whole life. And the reason why is that there are the 6 planets that are in your sign on Monday: Neptune, Mercury, the Sun, the Moon, Venus, and Mars simply represent so much light in your sun sign that nothing can remain hidden. So that means there's going to be a lot of light on you, Pisces, and you're going to not mind that because there is backup. You have backup right now, which you may not have had in a lot of your life, but you've got it now because Saturn in Scorpio is trining those 6 planets in your sign. And that simply means that you're coming into your own, Pisces, that you are going to relinquish some of your doubts and fears, and you're not going to be as self-destructive as you have in the past. And what I think you're going to go for is a mental attitude of relenting and forgiving so that you can go on in your life and sort of turn over a new leaf. And that's what I think you're going to do, and I think you're going to do it at a higher level than you've ever done it in your life, Pisces. So you are coming into a period of enlightenment, and I want to wish you the best of luck because I think you've got some good work ahead of you, and I think you'll be doing it on the side of the angels. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show anytime you want on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.